Your Excellency, the Governor General of Antigua, the Honorable Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Honorable Ministers, distinguished participants, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening. It gives me great pleasure to be here today at this opening ceremony and to have this honor of having a conversation with you here in the Caribbean, my home. It is particularly special to be here once again in the land of Ambrose and Benjamin, Roberts and Richardson, and indeed an honor to be speaking in this magnificent Antiguan evening right here in the stadium named after another great West Indian, Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards. For me, it is a special honor. I think this is the only way I can be on the cricket ground itself, instead of my customary place in the stands. Antigua and Barbuda, you have fulfilled for me a lifelong dream. Thank you very much. As we meet for this inaugural Caribbean Youth Ministers meeting, I would like to thank Prime Minister Brown and his government for so graciously hosting this meeting here. When I met Prime Minister Brown yesterday, I mentioned my recollection of his first keynote at last June's CARICOM Heads of Government as a recently elected Prime Minister. Prime Minister, you spoke with passion, eloquence, intelligence, and good sense in putting the youth agenda at the center stage of the region's development agenda. I am also aware that you have followed up with appointments in your own government, giving opportunities and space for young nationals to make a strong contribution to the development of this beautiful land. Before I go on to some specific issues associated with Caribbean young people, allow me to situate the discussions that you will be having over the next 2 days in a development context. As I stand before you today, seismic shifts are taking place in the global development architecture. We are now seeing the emergence of mega regional trading blocs, such as the transatlantic and trans-Pacific trading partnerships. This will exclude 160 countries, representing an estimated 80% of the world's population. Our concern in your Commonwealth is that in this architecture, where is the place and space for St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Dominica, and yes, Antigua and Barbuda? Quite simply, the answer is, there may not be a place. Let us look at the trade data for a moment. For this region, trends in trade show that its share of global trade has decreased from approximately 0.24%, or just 0.25% in 1990, to 0.16% in 2013. If we look at this beloved region of ours, excluding the oil and gas producer Trinidad and Tobago, the mere fraction is further reduced. Without Trinidad and Tobago, the region accounted for 0.17% of world trade in 1990, which has since decreased to 0.08% in the year 2013. When you look at the debt data, the news, quite frankly, is quite discouraging. The splendor of the region masks the fact that it is one of the most heavily indebted regions on this planet. 9 of our member countries have gross debt to GDP ratios greater than 75%, with 3 countries having public debt levels higher than 100%. This is unsustainable, and human development cannot take place with these crippling debt burdens, with loan financing only exacerbating this troublesome reality. For good measure, I will add our susceptibility to natural disasters and economic shocks. And we all know what happened with the tourism sector immediately after 9/11. We also know that Hurricane Ivan damaged 70% of the homes in Grenada, destroyed 30% of the homes, and caused losses in an amount of 1 billion United States dollars, equivalent to 2 years' GDP. Just briefly moving to citizen security, with a short presentation on the data in terms of crime and violence. We are not doing well as a region, with some of our countries having amongst the highest per capita homicide rates in the world. The Bahamas stands at 29.8 per 100,000 citizens, Jamaica 39.3 per 100,000 nationals. Just for your information, the rate for the UK is 1 per 100,000 citizens. So the rate in Jamaica, for example, is about 40 times higher than in the UK, while the rate in Barbados, a relatively low crime society by Caribbean standards, is still over 7 times higher than in the UK. Based on current trends, a recent modeling exercise we commissioned in the Commonwealth has indicated that it is possible by the year 2050 that the smaller states of the Eastern Caribbean can have rates of homicide similar to those currently being reported and experienced in Jamaica. One may ask, why am I speaking to these issues at a Caribbean Youth Ministers meeting, and what does this have to do with young people? Well, it has absolutely everything to do with them. To start with, young Caribbean citizens account for 60% of the population, and they are not the present, but they are not the future, they are the present. Given the fact that we agree on the role and importance of our young people, how they are doing is an obvious question. Let us just look at one variable, employment, where youth are at a much higher risk of being out of work, with teenagers having the highest unemployment rates. In Barbados, individuals aged 15 to 19 years old face unemployment rates 5 times higher than the total unemployment rate and stand at 47% compared to 14% for those aged 20 to 44. In St. Lucia, 40% of the unemployed were younger than 25 years old in 2011. With the limited time available, I will not go into data on CXC and CAPE results, since we all know the problems and we want to look at the road ahead and set the context for the deliberations over the next 2 days. The first Human Development Report in the Caribbean region, released by UNDP in 2012, provided 8 main messages. One which called on Caribbean countries to empower young people by investing in their development. This resonates well with this year's Commonwealth theme of A Young Commonwealth. Linked with the theme of this meeting, youth participation at the heart of national development. Our focus during this meeting is particularly apt for the Caribbean, considering that this is the region with one of the youngest populations in the Commonwealth, approximately 60 to 64% below the age of 30, and 30% between 18 and 13 years of age. There is thus a logical expectation that gains in the Caribbean development, and in particular human development, will depend on the well-being and contribution of the youth population. These challenges have serious ramifications for the future development and growth trajectories of the countries within the region and must be addressed. The Commonwealth has therefore launched a project aimed at boosting the prospects of the Caribbean small states in key areas such as security, innovation, energy, and private sector development. The first set of results arising from this initiative will be further discussed at the Forum on the Future of the Caribbean, which takes place next week in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. The discussion that we will have over the next 2 days is therefore timely and will complement the wider discussions that will take place next week as we seek to build a vision for our region to the year 2050, since we need to start thinking about the Caribbean that we want in 2050. Although we will still be presenting our findings in Port of Spain, let me share a bit of what the Caribbean 2050 Vision Consultancy team had to say about youth and I quote, "In order to achieve Vision 2050, youth must be viewed as the region's most valuable and creative asset that need to be developed with the mindset that they are partners in the development of the region as we transition from the present situation to the future that we want in 2050." End quote. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, investing in young people, ensuring decent employment and education prospects, including them in decision making, and creating an enabling environment where creativity, leadership, and energy can flourish will invariably lay the foundation for prosperous, healthier, and stronger societies, and quite frankly, will be one of the main vehicles in getting our beloved region back on track. Recognizing the absolute importance of young people as drivers of change and development, the Commonwealth Secretariat has been playing a long and important global leadership role in advocating for young people. We have in place a portfolio of programming to engage and empower our talented, energetic youth population, and just as importantly, to guide and support the governments and youth work profession who are instrumental to their success. We have undertaken some key pieces of work, including the creation of the first Global Youth Development Index, which measures the status of young people in 170 countries around the world across 5 domains that are critical to youth development: education, health, employment, and civic and political participation. The index informs policymakers about young people's needs and opportunities, indicating success stories and where investment may be needed. It also acts as a data advocacy tool, highlighting the importance of gathering statistics on key youth indicators. We have also supported the establishment of a number of key regional and pan-Commonwealth youth networks, such as the Commonwealth Youth Council, the Commonwealth Youth Climate Change Network, the Commonwealth Students Association, and of course, the Caribbean Regional Youth Council. The Commonwealth Students Association will be officially launched at the first Commonwealth Students Congress in the Bahamas in June, in parallel with the 19th Conference of Commonwealth Education Ministers Meeting. It is at this conference that we will be discussing the pathways for education beyond 2015. A key part of amplifying youth voices in national development is making sure that those voices are heard by decision makers, giving them access through platforms such as youth forums at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and Ministers meeting, and on a youth blog, yourcommonwealth.org. For young people, entrepreneurship is a key driver of human capital, unleashing the economic potential of youth and promoting sustainable growth and development. 18% of new and emerging businesses are owned by young people in Latin America and the Caribbean, some distance behind Africa, where 30% of businesses are owned by young people. The Caribbean region has already produced outstanding young business people, such as Nolana Lynch from Trinidad and Tobago, whom I warmly welcome here today. Nolana is a Caribbean region winner of the 2015 Commonwealth Youth Awards due to her environmental work, but also because of her business pursuits and achievements. We are supporting the creation of a Commonwealth Alliance of Young Entrepreneurs for the Caribbean and Canada to ensure that young entrepreneurs are connected across the region, and with young entrepreneurs in Asia and Africa to build a global community for youth enterprise. I'm very clear that you need business, Prime Minister, and I'm sure you would agree, to drive development. And our Caribbean cannot progress if business cannot strive but fight every day to survive. This year, 2015, is a momentous year as we transit from the MDGs to the SDGs under the post-2015 development framework. While we recognize poverty eradication as the overarching focus of the development agenda, equally critical is the need to address the root causes of pervasive poverty, exclusion, and inequality. These issues are particularly important for young people as they impede their development and therefore their valuable contributions to national progress. It is also crucial to ensure that the SDG framework recognizes young people's ability to contribute to, not just benefit from, national development. Therefore, I'm hopeful that this meeting of ministers will, among other things, result in a call for a stronger recognition in the SDGs of young people as agents of change and as drivers of development. Finally, I wish to thank you, Prime Minister, for gracing the opening of this meeting despite your busy schedule. This is a clear testament of your personal and government's commitment to young people. I also commend all ministers, senior officials, youth representatives, and other stakeholders for your attendance and wish all delegates a fruitful meeting. As I noted earlier, we are at a seminal moment, both internationally and in this region of ours. The decisions we make today will determine what this region will be in 2050. Given the very many challenges we face as a region, we simply cannot leave 60% out of governance and socio-economic decision making. It just will not work. I look forward to the outcome of your deliberations as we strive to look for practical solutions to create a strong and resilient Caribbean by 2050, which can only be done with a recognition on the role of young people as drivers for change and development, and creating the environment where everyone can participate in socio-economic development. With their involvement, we can indeed move as a region from a framework of survivability to one of resilience and long-term sustainability. Thank you so very much.